Happy Friday. My LEDs showed up. That means that I can get my digital dash all reassembled, put new bulbs in it. I might even pop that main gauge cluster out and just replace them all with LEDs because I bought a bunch of extra ones. And then I also did this. I got my door actuators yesterday. I went ahead and threw them in. So now, if I unlock and lock, both doors lock and unlock now. It works fantastic. And then I had an extra actuator that I put on the front driver's side door. I thought the passenger door had one. It probably does. It probably doesn't work. I added another aftermarket one, but when I bought that extra one, it came as a 2-pack. And I told myself, why not? I told myself, why not take that extra actuator and put it on the hatch? So now, it doesn't work. One more wire, fuck. I got the LEDs installed in the 2 gauges on the dashboard, and they look so crispy and perfect. I can't resist. I need to get this dash out and put LEDs in the whole thing. It's a little harder than I thought, but I already had the panels taken apart on the bottom, like the kick panels. So the trick is, if you're doing this, these buttons, there's a 10 mil on the bottom, which you have to access through the bottom of the dash, so you have to take that kick plate out. And then you just kind of, the left one came right out. The right side, I was fighting it, thinking I'm gonna break this thing in half. And then all I did was take a flat blade screwdriver, slip it in the top right in the middle, and just kind of lever down a little bit, and it popped out immediately. So I didn't see that in any videos. I'm telling you, if you've got a Z31 with the digital gauges, you need to get the dash pods out of the way. 10 mil from the bottom and a little wedge on top. Push down a little bit, they pop right out. Don't break them. Now, this next bit of information only applies to the 84 and 85 Zs in the in the GLL trim, which is the top of the line trim level with the digital gauges and everything. If you have that exact model, which I'm betting you probably don't, but if you do, and you need to get your steering wheel off, it is impossible to find information on how it comes off. I'm glad I didn't break this thing, because I've been fighting it for a little while now, and here's how simple it is. They just say in the manual or whatever, pry on the top, and so you think like get your fingers behind the horn button and pull. Well, that plastic piece doesn't come off. That's the horn button. What you need to do is get the vinyl part off. So you literally just like take the top of the vinyl or the leather or whatever this is, this plastic rubbery horn thing, and you literally just pull up that alone and it comes right off, and it's that simple. An hour I've been fighting this thing, and then I was just thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna pull up that leather a little bit and see what happens, and it popped right off immediately. So dumb. But now I can get the steering wheel out of the way so I can get these gauges out, because it doesn't seem like I can slip it past it. I managed to get the trim out without taking the steering wheel off, but it was tricky, and probably only happened because it already had a crack in it. If you're doing this, just pop your steering wheel off and make it easy on yourself. Well, good morning. I ended up spending about half the day tinkering on this thing, and my OCD on this car is just so funny because I can't seem to just keep going on one thing. I see other things that I want to touch, and then I touch all of them. So I ended up taking the steering wheel off, pulling out the dash gauges to put LEDs in them so I could do a final assembly of the interior soon. And you know what? Not as much to do in there as I thought. It was really just two LEDs on the one on each top side, and those are regular like 194 type bulbs, and they had little green boots on them. And I didn't buy green LEDs. I only bought white 194s just for like other miscellaneous, like the marker bulbs and the license plate bulbs. So that's all I had, and I ended up popping them in, and I actually kind of like it. Now all the outlines and the letters and stuff in the dash light up white, and then everything else lights up green because it's all digital. The other thing is I had an extra. I didn't even think about doing this, but I bought an extra door lock actuator. So I had 3. I put one in each door, and I was like, oh man, the third one. I'll take the third one and I'll put it in the trunk. And I totally rigged it. It can't. It's not stupid if it works. And I rigged it up and it works great. Here's my problem. I didn't read the instructions. I guess I did, not thoroughly enough, because there's one little sentence that I missed, and that's the blue and the green wire cannot be wired directly to an actuator. which is exactly what I did, and I fried the unit. Only $12. My mistake. I'll order another. But I just was like, how stupid. You have one job. Actuate door locks. And it's like, no, not this wire. This wire can only be hooked up to the central locking system. So I'm not giving up. I already ran the wires to the trunk. I already installed the actuator. What I need to do now is just put a relay in place and let the brain control the relay and let the relay control the actuator. All for a trunk release that was supposed to be like, oh, it's 2 wires and it'll take me 5 minutes. Stupid. Anyway, back to the dash bulbs. The main dashboard has 2 LEDs for the let's see. This dashboard has an LED in the top in each corner, and then one in the bottom that kind of lights up the odometer. So that one's a 74 bulb, the little tiny ones, and I have the green LED ones for that. So when I flick the lights on, if I can, this is so rigged right now. So that lights up green. Cool. I don't mind that at all. And then up here in these corners light up white. So everything that's white in here on the face of it lights up white at night. It's kind of neat instead of lighting up all solid green. And then these, obviously I put those LEDs in yesterday. They look fantastic. And now I can put all that back together. And then the next thing on the agenda is the climate controls. Those have quite a few LEDs, I think 3 or 4 bulbs. So I'm gonna find all those, put the LEDs in. The trick is some of these LEDs, they only can go in one way. Like a normal bulb, it doesn't matter which way you put it in because it'll light up. The energy is gonna flow the same way. But in LEDs, they're one way. They have one way to be installed usually. You gotta double check them before you put everything back together. So that's why everything's kind of half installed. I always double check them, and I've made it a mistake probably twice now of the bulb going in backwards because there's really no way to tell until you stick it in. So I got a couple more to check, and the dashboard can go back together. All I have to do is leave that kick panel off, so when I get that door lock actuator brain in the mail, I can just plug it right into the original harness that I already installed, and just install that relay real quick so the trunk actuator will actually function without frying the brain. And other than that, I'm thinking I'm gonna patch some rust today. I don't know how well I'm gonna patch it, but by the end of this video, this car should have no holes in the interior, so I'll take that as a win. I'll do a decent job. Yeah, I'll try. tip. Before you put your column cover on, put the steering wheel on, because there's a freaking connector back there. And it's a tricky one. There it is. Route that wire like so. Steering wheel goes on straight. There it is. Now I can put this together. Finally getting these doors put back together, speakers back in, everything's working with the lock actuator, all of my door handles all freed up now and function perfectly, and my door panels were looking pretty rough. So I went ahead and just grabbed some cheap fabric and gave them a quick covering. I used just adhesive spray, and then I wrapped them around the edges and a little hot glue gun action, and then I covered this panel too. And I'm hoping that the door handle covers this part right here. But, you know, I was thinking, like, I'm not an expert upholsterer by any means, but that looks a lot better.